Hi students, this is AJ sir. Let's study 9th standard ICSE exercise 2A in math. Let's compare simple interest with compound interest. Imagine a principal of rupees 1000 deposited in a bank which pays simple interest on it, and the other bank pays compound interest which is compounded annually. So the principal amount in the beginning is same. The interest for the first year at 10% will be the same in both the cases, that is 100 rupees each, and the amount, if withdrawn after 1 year, would be 1100 rupees each. So for the first year, compound interest is equal to the simple interest. But things become interesting in the second year. When we are calculating simple interest, the principal remains the same for every year. Even if it was not withdrawn, the principal is still 1000 and the interest on it is 100 rupees. Whereas for compound interest, the principal becomes the amount of the previous year's end. That is 1100 becomes the new principal. That means for the second year, the person will get interest on interest of the first year, which is more profitable because now the final amount he will get after 2 years is 1210. So you can see that if after 2 years we withdraw the money from the respective banks, he will get 10 rupees extra from the bank providing compound interest when the principal was 1000. Now let's continue with the third year. Again, simple interest is calculated on the same principal of 1000. Once again, he will get the same interest of 100 rupees. And finally, after 3 years, he will be able to withdraw 1300 from the bank. So starting with 1000, over a course of 3 years, he earned an interest of 300 rupees only. On the other hand, for the third year here, the principal is the amount of the previous year, 1210. This 210 is actually the interest amount which has been accrued or accumulated during the last 2 years. And that is added to the principal and he will earn interest even on that amount. So totally he will get 121 rupees as interest. So the final amount he will be able to withdraw after 3 years, when compounded annually, the interest is totally 331 rupees. And the amount is 1331. So every year compound interest value increases, but the simple interest remains the same. That is the logic behind compound interest, and all banks provide interest on the basis of compounding, and that too quarterly, which is even more profitable if there was no inflation. Now in exercise 2A, we'll cancel a few easy sums to reduce your homework, which are of the same type. So cancel question 1, 2.1, 3.1. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4 sums. And the remaining 1, 2, 3, and 4 sums are for homework. Cancel question 10 as well. Again, it's easy, the same type, only the numbers are different. And mark IMP questions 4, 6, and 9. So let's start with question 3.2. Here, rupees 16,000 is the principal. Time is 3 years. But the rates are different for 3 successive years. Here we won't be using any formula because in this chapter, let's solve year on year. Once we master this, then we can move on to the next chapter where we will be allowed to use a direct formula. So here, since it's for 3 years, we'll have 3 sections of the sum, 1 for each year. So for the first year, we take principal as 16,000. Compound interest formula is same as simple interest when we calculate on a year-on-year basis. We substitute the values. Time is always 1 year in this method. We calculate the compound interest for that year. And the amount in the end is 17,600 for that year. This amount will become the principal for the second year. On this, again, compound interest is to be calculated here. The rate changes as given in the question, but the time is same, 1 year. We get the compound interest, add it to the principal, and that becomes the amount for the second year. This now becomes the principal for the third year. Calculate the compound interest in a similar fashion. We get the final amount in the end as 23,073.60. This is what is asked in the question. But they've also asked the total compound interest for 3 years. Now that can be calculated by just adding the compound interest for the first year, for the second year, and for the third year. Or we can simply subtract the principal, original principal, from the final amount, because the difference between them is actually the compound interest added for 3 years, which is 7,073.60. Now in this sum, again, the principal is given, but the time is 2.5 years. And we have to write the final answer correct to the nearest rupee, so no decimal places. And also we just have to find the compound interest in the end, not the amount. So the method remains the same. For the first year, we calculate the compound interest. Time is 1 year. We find the amount. This amount will be the principal for the second year. We calculate the compound interest. Again, the time is 1 year. And the amount for the second year will again be the third principal. But the third section of the sum is for only half a year, because the total time period is 2.5 years. So in the formula, time's value will be half a year. So compound interest calculated now is this much, and no need to find the final amount because they've just asked to find the total compound interest, which would be the sum of the 3 compound interests and approximated to 312 rupees, because they wanted the answer correct to the nearest rupee. If you do find the final amount, then the final answer can be calculated as A3 minus P1. Now in the sixth sum, principal is borrowed, 2,500. The rate is given, time is given. So we can find the amount to be repaid after 2 years. But he did not have that much cash handy. He just had 2,936 rupees. But he felt that the remainder of the payment was equal to the cost of his watch. So we have to find the cost of the watch. So let's first find the total amount he had to pay. So the method is the same. For the first year, we find the compound interest, 1 year time period, and amount is 2,800, which becomes the principal for the second year. And in the end, we realize that after 2 years, he had to repay 3,136 to clear the debt, but he did not have that much. So he made a cash payment of 2,936, and the remainder was reimbursed by a watch. So it seems that the total amount he had to pay is equal to the cash payment plus the cost of the watch. So on subtraction, we get the cost of the watch as 200 rupees. Govind had recently studied about compound interest in his tuitions. So he thought of earning some profit using his knowledge. He borrows 18,000 rupees from somebody at simple interest. Maybe he did not have any idea about compound interest. He immediately invested that money at the same rate of 10%, but now at compound interest, and that also compounded half yearly. So how much profit did he make in 1 year? Well, calculating the simple interest, it seems that on the 18,000 rupees he borrowed, after 1 year, he will have to pay an extra 1,800 along with the principal, and this is the interest he has to pay. But he's not worried about this because he has invested it in a compound interest format, and that also, it is compounded every half a year. So he invested 18,000. The compound interest for the first half year, taking time as half a year, is 900. After half a year, the interest is added to the principal, and the amount of 18,900 becomes the principal for the second half of the year. And now he will get interest on this entire sum, which would be 945 for the second half of the year. So the total interest he's getting is 900 plus 945, that is 1845. So he got 45 rupees extra as interest here. So the profit he earned is 45 rupees. The rest of the amount he had to pay back because he had taken a loan. But on borrowing 18,000 rupees, he got 45 rupees simply because he had the knowledge about compound interest being more profitable than simple interest.